Okay? Now let's start right into it with generators, all right? So generators. We are a Generac dealer, and there's multitudes of brands that you can work with, but let's just talk about generators as a whole. So, in a very general term, tell me about generators and how they work.
Yeah, well, a generator basically is a small car engine that has an electrical generator built onto it that runs off of natural gas or diesel, depending on the application, and it'll provide power for all the necessities in your home, or we can do one that's a whole home generator. And there's a bunch of different varieties and different sizes. And Kyle would probably be he's our generator consultant. He would probably be the best person to talk to as far as all these different options. But you can get something that can do just a few circuits just to protect, say your refrigerator or your furnace or your boiler. I always like to include the cable and the television too, because what else are you going to do while you're sitting there without power? Is you can at least watch some TV. And then you can go into a whole house generator, which would cover every receptacle, every light, every utility in the house. And then there's a bunch of different varieties as far as transfer switches, which would turn the power over to the generator on a loss of power. There's a manual transfer switch, which the homeowner would have to go downstairs and manually switch it so that the generator would kick on and power the house, or the automatic transfer switch, which would kick in immediately when the power dropped out. You might notice a little flicker of your lights, but all said and done, you're going to be up and running and you're going to have power going to your house.
Now, as a homeowner, is there a standard size that they should keep in mind, or is there any technicalities that they need to keep in mind as a homeowner?
It really depends on the ampacity of of your house. If you have a 200 amp panel and you'd like to power that entire panel, then you'd probably go with a larger generator. Or if you wanted to just do some dedicated circuits, as the refrigerator, the boiler, and stuff like that, then you can go with a smaller size generator. But again, Kyle would be the man to talk to as far as sizing it up and throwing out options as far as automatic transfer, manual transfer, and any other options as far as bells and whistles. And you're talking anywhere between like a $5,000 to a $20,000 investment, depending on what type of system you're looking into.
Mm-hmm. And actually, going back to that cost versus value report, they say the average cost to install in New England is $13,195. Now, so using that report and using those numbers, do you know what the return on investment could be for that?
Yeah, what they indicate a 55% return. So it's not going to give you all your money back, but it's going to at least increase the value of your home by at least say $7,000 if you're using the average of 13,000. So there's a lot of benefits to it, and it's a good selling point, because now a prospective buyer would see that I have backup power if for some reason power went out. We had those storms a few years back where some people were out of power for 3, 5, 7 days, and a lot of their piping froze up, a lot of their food went bad, and they had to waste money by paying for a hotel, and eating out every night or whatever, or cooking at the hotel. It's all stuff that should not have occurred. It wouldn't have occurred if you had a backup generator.
It sounds like one of those things that when you need it, it's priceless.
Right, exactly. You could have this thing for years, and you might not ever need it. But with our value plan, we also have an option to include your backup generator, so we can come out and exercise it, do oil changes, just as if it's a regular car engine or a small a vehicle's engine. So you still have to do oil change on it regularly, and you want to make sure that thing's going to turn on when it does, when you do need it. So we can visit that, every couple of months, or depending on the frequency of how often you want us to. But yeah, we can definitely give you options to take care of it.
And you had mentioned Kyle Cranny coming out and giving you an estimate. What's the cost for him to come out and give you an estimate?
It wouldn't cost you anything to go out, so then you could at least to come out and do the estimate. So at least you would have an idea as to how much you would need to power your house in the first place, and if you wanted to upgrade and get larger sizes, he can give you a bunch of different options and sizes.
So whole home generators, I mean, for a $13,000 investment, you can recoup that over 50% of your return.
Right.
And there's no cost to you to have one of our comfort advisors come out and give you that estimate. It's really a no-brainer if you're just thinking about it.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do it now, then we can definitely come out we can come out and revisit and give you another price next year, or we'll see how it goes, and if the pricing stays the same, then we'll certainly honor it.
And so now let's move on. And you had mentioned doing some services that aren't necessarily Cranny's expertise. So attic insulation, which is mentioned in this report, www.costversusvalues.com. Now, so attic insulation. Now tell me, is there a certain specific type of insulation that they mention in the report?
They base it on fiberglass insulation, which is the standard insulation that 90% of the houses have in it, and except if they were built just recently, then they would go to a cellulose or a different type of insulation. But as a standard insulation is fiberglass, and I'm sure everyone knows exactly what we're talking about, that pink fiberglass insulation that's up in your attic and inside your walls. But over time, that insulation does start to settle, and so then the R value, the value of how much it does insulate, starts to decrease. And there are some insulation companies that would come out and take a peek at it, and they would give you an idea as to what the value of the insulation is that you have, and then what you can do to increase the R value or the insulation factor of your home. Keep that heat inside the house. Don't melt any of that snow off the roof to cause the ice dams and stuff like that. So keeping the insulation inside the house as far as efficiency of the home, and saving money on gas and electricity because you don't have to heat or cool. It's huge, So then, like they were saying on the costversusvalue.com website, is that an initial investment of $1,300, you could recoup almost $1,900 of that. So you're actually making money off insulating your home if you were to resell it. So there's just a little bit that's a nice little bonus to for a small investment you can recoup almost all of that money, or at least all of that money.
And so if someone's thinking about having their insulation redone or checked on, where would they go to get this done, and who could actually provide them with the service?
If they could check their local Yellow Pages, or or they could Google it to see if there is any contractors in their area. Plus, some of our comfort consultants might be able to give them an idea as to a couple of different contractors that they've used in the past, or that they've referenced to in the past.
And so, very simple product here: attic insulation with fiberglass. Something that can recoup yourself 143%.
It's huge, yeah, and depending on the size of the job too. If if you're getting into the $2,000-$3,000 jobs, and you can still recoup that $2,000-$3,000, then I think it's a great idea for a minimal investment, as far as increasing the value for a small amount of investment.
Okay, and now we have another product here that we don't necessarily install, but of course the electrical components we can help with. Garage doors. Now, how could a garage door help with your savings in your home?
Yeah, if on a lot of the garage doors on some of the newer homes that were built, you'll walk up to it and it's just basically a thin piece of sheet metal that's been folded into a garage door. So there really is zero insulation value there. It's just basically blocking out the elements as far as wind, rain, snow, stuff like that. But you can upgrade that door to an insulated door. You can put in a power garage door opener, which we would be happy to wire up. But by insulating the garage a little bit more, if the garage is located under the home, it's not going to allow that cold air to get into the garage, which would then transfer to the floor above. So if your kitchen is above the garage, your feet are going to be freezing when you're walking around if your garage is 50 degrees. If you insulate it and get the temperature up in that garage, then it's going to help keep the home a little bit warmer. It's not going to give up as much heat.
And so I've actually gotten a few questions coming